Yeah, I am so ready to be done with live action remakes. So, Sunday I checked out the live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. I went to see it with my mom and sister. Now, although I've discussed my thoughts before, let me give you all a reminder of the importance of these movies to not only me, but my family. How to Train Your Dragon is one of my favorite Dreamworks films. It's gorgeous, it's likable, it's action-packed, but also surprisingly dramatic and humorous. And of course, my family has gone to see every single one in theaters, despite my mother's initial hesitance on seeing it due to, if I remember correctly, the poor advertising. The second film, I'll admit, isn't my favorite, but it's also hard to judge these films because they're all really good. The third is a great ending, with some grade A voice acting from Jay Baruchel as Hiccup. And as for the other spin-off shows and all that, I really haven't seen any of it. I watched the Cartoon Network show when I was younger, but only a few episodes. Maybe I need to check them out, a lot of people seem to like them. So with all that, my mom loves seeing these movies, and we've kept the tradition, even seeing the live-action remake. I'll give my thoughts on the whole live-action remake bullshit trend that Disney just tried to hammer in for the last decade. Dreamworks decided to throw their hat into the ring with a 2025 remake of How to Train Your Dragon. This is the same goddamn movie. Okay, that's not terribly fair. I mean, 95% of this movie is the exact same shot-for-shot film we saw 15 years ago. However, not only is this single remake better than 90% of Disney's remakes, but I dare say it has like one or two things I really liked more here. There's an old saying that there's things that animation can do that live action can't, but there are certainly things live action can do that animation can't. And I'll show that to you all today. I don't think I have to talk about the plot. Like I said, this is verbatim the original film's plot. Let's talk about the actors, because that is something that for Disney, they get wrong with every remake. I'll just say, I think this is one of the few remakes that I didn't mind most of the casting. Hiccup here is played by Mason Thames, and he's honestly a great fit. Obviously, they couldn't just have Jay Baruchel in a Hiccup cosplay, and I think Thames fits the bill. And after all the internet negativity, I'll just say, I didn't mind Nico Parker as Astrid. I think she's honestly trying her best, and despite the obvious issue of not having blonde hair, she does alright. I'll say she is probably the most bland actress, but she is a kid, so whatever. And damn it, you thought I complimented Gerard Butler with the animated film? For some reason, he is just doing his absolute most here. I don't know what switch kicks on for him when he has to do Scottish stuff, but he kills it again. I actually didn't realize Nick Frost reprised Gobber, and he did pretty good. Rough Nut and Tough Nut are fine, though I recognize that one guy from The Bubble and Ew. Snotlout actually got more laughs here than he did in the original, so props to that. Also, they added his dad, who kinda just ignores him, and it gives him a reason as to why he's so attention-seeking. Okay, I'll give it that. And Fishlegs is played by that kid from Deadpool 2, and like Snotlout, he's actually better here than in the original. And the effects on Toothless look just different enough to where it's different from the original, but still looks like Toothless. Okay, but let's talk about the bad stuff, because this is a solid 3 out of 5 for me, Xander Zandini on Letterboxd. So my biggest issue is that in comparison, the overall look of the film just isn't there. It looks darker and gray and just not fun to look at. Only when the dragons are on screen is it even close to interesting. The humans in this aren't that interesting, and that comes down to something animation can do that live action can't. The original's animation made the characters' expressions look interesting and fun, even if the scene itself wasn't particularly interesting. Sadly, live action can't get that across, and everybody just looks kinda bored. I also argue it's overall not interesting because, I mean, it's the same damn film, it's the same plot. The flying scenes, the scenes with Hiccup and Toothless, the dragon fights, they're just not as interesting as they were 15 years ago. The music is once again by John Powell, and like I said, this is some of John Powell's best, but there's something that's just so cheap about being reused here. I can't help it, I have to compare it to Chris Sanders' Stitch lines being reused in the Lilo and Stitch remake. I also gotta say, I like the original for blending action, drama, and humor perfectly, and here they just kinda dialed back the humor and it's greatly missed. I can't even say this is an awful film, by no means is it truly awful, it's just the same damn thing you saw 15 years ago. But my mom loved it and now wants to go to Epic Universe because of that lifelike Toothless animatronic. I'm gonna tell you right now, they needed to put that Hiccup in. This was a memory of the year I will always cherish. Even if I didn't like it, I still acknowledge it being special to my family, and I'm glad I got to see it with my mother all these years later after we saw the original. While it seems lazy and cheap on the outside, it's still better than anything Disney attempted. God damn you, Zach Galifianakis.